Okay, let's be real for a sec. I think we've all been there, right? You're standing in front of the mirror and it's like, why? Why is this belly fat just not going anywhere?
It's so frustrating, isn't it?
It is. You're working out, you're like trying to eat all the right things, but it's almost as if there's this like hidden force working against you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, today we're going to dive into that.
Yeah.
Because it turns out there kind of is this like secret reason. And we're going to break it all down for you. We're going deep on all the surprising reasons that belly fat is just so darn stubborn.
Right.
And we're going to go way beyond just, the typical diet and exercise advice that you hear all the time.
Yeah, because it's actually super interesting. Turns out, hormones, stress, even the bacteria in your gut, like all of that plays a part in where your body decides to store fat. And surprise, surprise, it really likes to hang out right around your midsection.
So in this deep dive, we're going to unpack all of it. We're going to talk about the science behind why belly fat is so stubborn, why those crunches that you're doing may not be cutting it, and most importantly, what you can actually do to make a real difference.
And, it's not just about how your clothes fit or how you look in the mirror.
Right.
Visceral fat, the kind that sits deep in your abdomen, that's actually linked to some serious health risks.
Yeah, it's not just about fitting into those genes.
Right.
It's about protecting your health.
Exactly.
So let's just start by getting clear on what exactly we're even talking about. When we say belly fat, there are actually two different types, right?
Right, exactly. You got subcutaneous fat. That's the fat that sits right under your skin, the kind that you can pinch.
Okay.
And then there's visceral fat, and that's the deeper kind, the one that surrounds your organs. And that visceral fat, that's the one that's been linked to, things like heart disease and type 2 diabetes.
Okay, so why is that? What makes visceral fat so dangerous?
Well, it's not just sitting there. It's not just taking up space, it's metabolically active. So that means that it's actually releasing inflammatory compounds. And those are the things that, can contribute to those health problems.
Okay, so this is like a real health concern.
Yes.
This isn't just a vanity thing.
Definitely not.
And I'm guessing, there are a lot of myths surrounding belly fat. I bet you've heard this one. The spot reduction idea.
Oh, yeah.
If I just do 1,000,000 crunches, I can magically melt away all the fat on my belly.
That's a classic. Unfortunately, as much as we wish it were true, spot reduction is just a myth. You can't target where your fat comes off when you lose weight. Your body kind of decides that.
So all those targeted ab exercises, they might be toning your muscles, but they're not necessarily blasting away the fat that's covering them.
Right. And another myth that we hear a lot is that it's all about calories in, calories out. And while that's part of it, it's way more complicated than that. Hormones play a way bigger role than, we used to think.
Okay, let's talk about that. Let's talk about the hormones. Which hormones are the big players when it comes to belly fat?
There are a few key ones. Insulin, for example. So insulin, that's the hormone that helps your body use glucose for energy or store it as fat.
Right.
And if you're constantly eating sugary processed foods, your insulin levels can just spike, and that can lead to fat storage, especially around the abdomen.
So even if you're staying within your calorie limit, if you're having a lot of sugary drinks or processed snacks, that could still be contributing to the belly fat.
Exactly. And then there's cortisol.
Oh, cortisol.
Stress hormone, yeah. So when you're stressed out, your body releases cortisol.
Right.
And that, guess what, can increase fat storage, especially around the belly.
Yeah. Oh, that explains a lot. It's like when you have a really crazy day and you're stressed, and then all of a sudden you want that bag of chips, even though you're not even really that hungry.
Yeah, that's the stress response in action.
Right.
And, if you're chronically stressed, if that's just your baseline, then your cortisol levels stay elevated. And that can make it way harder to lose belly fat.
So it's not just about willpower, it's about managing your stress levels too.
Exactly.
Okay, so what are some good ways to manage stress? Aside from, everybody always says, oh, just exercise.
Right.
What are some other good things that people can do?
Well, there's a ton of different things.
Yeah.
Mindfulness practices, things like meditation or even just deep breathing exercises, those can be super helpful. Yoga is another great one.
Oh, yeah.
It helps you de-stress, it improves flexibility. Honestly, even making sure you're getting enough sleep can make a huge difference.
Okay, so speaking of sleep, I've heard that lack of sleep can actually make you gain weight, especially belly fat. So how does that work?
It all comes back to those hunger hormones. So when you don't get enough sleep, your body, it actually makes more ghrelin. Ghrelin, yeah, the hormone that basically tells you, hey, I'm hungry.
Oh, got it.
And at the same time, it makes less leptin. That's the hormone that tells you when you're full.
So you're extra hungry, and then you don't feel as satisfied when you do eat.
Exactly. And that can lead to, overeating and, weight gain. And studies have shown that, specifically lack of sleep is linked to an increase in visceral fat, the deep belly fat.
Wow, okay. So really, good sleep is just as important as diet and exercise when it comes to managing belly fat.
It really is. It's this vital piece of the puzzle that I think so many people just overlook.
So we've busted some myths about belly fat, we've talked about hormones, we've talked about stress, and now we know that sleep is even more important than we thought. But what about nutrition?
Yeah.
Let's move beyond just counting calories and actually talk about the foods that we're putting into our body.
Right, because that's a super important point. It's not just how much you eat, it's what you eat. The types of foods that you're choosing. The macronutrients like protein, carbs, and fats, those play a huge role in how your body processes and stores fat.
Okay, I have to admit, I've heard the term macronutrients, but I don't think I really know what that means. Can you break that down for me? And I'm sure some of our listeners are probably in the same boat.
Yeah, totally. So macronutrients, those are basically just the nutrients that your body needs in larger amounts.
Okay.
They provide you with energy. And there's three main types: carbohydrates, proteins, and fats.
So when we're talking about food choices, we need to be thinking about the types of carbs and the types of proteins and fats that we're eating, not just the total number of calories.
Exactly. So for example, complex carbs. So those are the carbs that are in, whole grains, fruits, vegetables. Those are digested slower, and they give you sustained energy.
Yeah.
And that can actually help regulate your blood sugar levels and prevent those, insulin spikes that we were talking about.
And what about protein and fat? Where do those fit in?
So protein, that's super crucial for building and repairing tissues, but it also helps you feel fuller for longer.
Okay.
So that can help with weight management.
Okay.
And then healthy fats. So those are the fats that you get from avocados, nuts, olive oil. Those are also important for feeling satisfied after you eat and also for hormone production.
Okay. So it's more about getting the right balance of these macronutrients, not necessarily cutting out entire food groups.
Exactly.
And I'm guessing processed foods are a big no-no when it comes to belly fat.
Yeah, they're not doing them any favors. Processed foods, they're often just loaded with sugar, unhealthy fats, and just empty calories. And all of that can contribute to belly fat. They can spike your blood sugar, lead to those insulin surges.
Right.
And that just encourages fat storage.
So we're talking about packaged snacks, sugary drinks, fast food, that kind of stuff.
All the good stuff. Yeah. All the stuff that comes in a box with a million ingredients that you can't even pronounce.
Yeah, exactly.
So instead, focus on real whole foods as much as possible. Think fruits, vegetables, lean protein sources, whole grains, healthy fats.
It's amazing how much we're learning about how food impacts our bodies. It's not just calories. Yeah. It's about the quality of the food that we're choosing.
Yeah.
There's another piece of the puzzle that I think we need to talk about, and that is gut health. I've heard that the bacteria in our gut, they can actually influence how we store fat.
Yeah, it sounds crazy, so it's true. So all those trillions of bacteria living in your digestive tract, that's what's called the gut microbiome.
Yeah.
That actually plays a huge role in your metabolism and how your body processes the food that you eat.
Wow. So these tiny little organisms that are living inside of us can actually impact whether we store fat or burn it.
Yes. And research is showing that if you have an imbalance in your gut bacteria, which often happens because of a diet high in processed foods and low in fiber, that can actually make it harder to lose weight and contribute to belly fat.
So how can we improve our gut health?
It's all about feeding the good guys.
Yeah.
So a diet that's rich in fiber-rich foods, fruits, vegetables, whole grains, that's super important. And then fermented foods. Those are yogurt, sauerkraut, kimchi. Those are great sources of probiotics, which are basically live bacteria that can help populate your gut with the good stuff.
This is fascinating. It's we're learning about this whole ecosystem inside of us.
I know.
That we need to take care of.
Exactly. A healthy gut is, it's a key component of overall health. It plays a major role in managing belly fat.
Okay, so we have covered so much.
Oh, we have.
We talked about hormones, stress, sleep, nutrition, gut health, and of course we can't forget about exercise. But before we jump into that, let's just take a minute to recap. What are the big takeaways so far?
All right, so we've learned that belly fat, it's not just a cosmetic issue, visceral fat, that's serious. It poses some real health risks. We've busted those myths about spot reduction and, the idea that it's as simple as calories in, calories out. It's way more complicated. And we've also uncovered all the different roles that hormones, stress, sleep, nutrition, and even your gut health, how all of that plays in to where your body stores fat.
Wow, it's a complex interplay of factors. But the good news is we have some control over a lot of them.
We do.
And in the next part of our deep dive, we're going to explore exactly how to take all of this knowledge and actually start to make progress. So if you're ready to finally tackle that stubborn belly fat, make sure you join us for part 2.
Welcome back.
So I don't know about you, but I feel like my head is kind of spinning with all this new information about belly fat.
Right.
It's not just crunches and salads,
right?
There's this whole internal world that's impacting what's happening.
It is complex.
Yeah.
But that's also what makes it so fascinating and, empowering too, because once you understand those factors, you can actually start making targeted changes.
Okay, so in this part, let's actually move beyond the why and get into the how. How do we actually take all this knowledge that we've talked about and start making some progress?
Well, the first step is, you got to create a personalized plan.
Okay.
There is no one-size-fits-all solution. What works for one person might not work for somebody else.
Right, so personalization is key. But how do we even, start with that?
Start by just taking stock of your current lifestyle. Think about your eating habits, your stress levels, how much sleep you're getting, your exercise routine. Just identify areas where you can make, realistic changes.
Okay, so it's about being honest with yourself about your habits and where you can actually make a difference.
Exactly. And don't try to change everything at once. Just start small, pick 1 or 2 changes, and then build from there.
Yeah, I think that's a really important point. It's about building a sustainable lifestyle, right?
Yes.
It's not about doing some crazy restrictive diet for 3 weeks.
Right.
And I think a big part of that is setting realistic goals. I know, for me, I've been guilty of this in the past where I set the bar way too high and then I get discouraged when I don't see immediate results.
Yeah, it's so common. We see those grand, ambitious goals. I want to lose 10 pounds in a month. But we don't think about what happens after that month. And then, when we don't reach it, it's so easy to just get discouraged and give up.
So how do we set goals that are both challenging, but also actually achievable?
That's where SMART goals come in. Have you heard of that?
I have heard SMART goals, but to be honest, I don't really remember what it stands for.
Okay, so SMART, it stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound.
Okay, that's actually really helpful. So instead of saying I want to lose weight, a SMART goal would be something I want to lose 1 to 2 pounds a week by swapping out processed snacks for fruits and vegetables and focusing on strength training 3 times a week or something like that.
Exactly. You got it. That's specific. You can measure it. It's achievable. It's relevant to your overall goal. And there's a time frame.
I love it. It's taking that big overwhelming goal and breaking it down into smaller, more manageable steps.
Yes.
And it also gives you a way to actually track your progress.
Right. And tracking your progress is super important, but it's also important to do it in a way that's motivating and not discouraging.
What do you mean by that? How can tracking your progress be discouraging?
Well, if you're only looking at the number on the scale, you might miss other important signs that you are making progress. Maybe you're sleeping better, you have more energy, your clothes are fitting differently, or you're noticing your mood is better, or you have more mental clarity.
Oh, that's a really good point. We get fixated on that number, but there are so many other ways to track how things are changing.
Exactly. Pay attention to how you feel, how your body's changing, how your habits are evolving, all those non-scale victories, those can be super motivating and they can really help you stay committed to your goals.
And I think it's important to remember too that progress isn't always going to be linear.
Oh, it's never linear.
There are going to be ups and downs and plateaus and maybe even some setbacks.
For sure. Weight loss, it's a journey, not a straight line.
Okay, so what do we do when we hit those inevitable roadblocks? how do we stay motivated and like get ourselves back on track?
Okay, first of all, don't freak out.
Okay.
Setbacks happen. They're totally normal. They happen to everyone. So instead of getting discouraged, try to see it as like an opportunity to learn and to kind of adjust your approach.
So instead of just giving up, you're saying like, okay, what's not working?
Yes.
And why? Like maybe I need to tweak my diet or try a different type of workout or, manage my stress a little bit better.
Exactly. And remember, you're not in this alone. Having a support system can make a world of difference.
Yeah, like that is so important. Like surrounding yourself with people who, understand your goals and can offer encouragement and accountability. It's just invaluable.
For sure.
Yeah.
It could be friends, it could be family, it could be a therapist, it could even be like an online community.
Right.
Just having people to share your journey with, to celebrate the good times, and to help you through the tough times, that can really help keep you motivated.
And, speaking of motivation, I think mindset plays a huge role in all of this too. It's not just about the physical changes, it's about like the mental and emotional transformation as well.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Your mindset can either help you or hurt you. If you're always beating yourself up for every little slip up, or you're constantly focused on like how far you have to go, it's going to be so much harder to stay motivated and make real changes.
Right. So how do we shift our mindset from like being self-critical to being more self-compassionate? How do we like learn to be kinder to ourselves throughout this whole process?
It definitely takes practice, but it's worth it. Start by becoming aware of your negative self-talk. Just like notice those critical thoughts and then challenge them. Like, are they even true? Are they helpful? And then like try to reframe them in a more positive and supportive way.
Right. It's like we need to be our own cheerleaders.
Yes, exactly. Celebrate your wins no matter how small they are. Acknowledge your efforts.
Yeah.
And, just keep reminding yourself that you are worthy and you're capable of reaching your goals.
That's such a good point. Like, it's not just about losing weight. It's about like gaining confidence, self-love, feeling empowered.
And that's what real transformation is all about. It's becoming the best version of you.
So, okay, we've talked about creating a personalized plan. We've talked about setting smart goals, tracking progress in a way that like keeps you motivated, building a support system, and like cultivating a positive mindset. Is there anything else that we need to like be thinking about as we start this journey?
I think the most important thing is to be patient.
Okay.
And focus on the long game.
Yeah.
This isn't a quick fix. It's a lifestyle change.
Yeah.
And, there are going to be challenges, but you have the power to overcome them.
Yeah.
You've got the knowledge, you have the tools, and you have the support to achieve your goals.
That's really encouraging. It's not about like hitting some magic number on the scale. It's about, creating a healthier, happier, more vibrant life.
Exactly.
And that is definitely a journey worth taking.
This has been such a helpful conversation. I feel like I have a whole new perspective on belly fat, and I actually feel kind of motivated to tackle it.
That's great to hear. Remember, you're capable of amazing things. And in the final part of our deep dive, we're going to get even more practical. We're going to talk about like specific strategies to actually like incorporate all these changes into your daily life. And we're going to share some inspiring stories of people who have successfully tackled belly fat and totally transformed their lives.
All right, welcome back to the final part of our deep dive on belly fat. We've talked about the science, the myths, all the mindset stuff. Now it's time to actually put it all into action.
Exactly. We've laid all the groundwork, and now it's about making those changes stick. So let's go back to some of the key things we talked about.
Okay.
And, get a little more specific. Perfect. Let's start with food. We've talked about focusing on whole foods, right? But like, what are some simple things that people can swap out right now to start moving away from processed foods?
One thing that I think trips people up is breakfast. Like sugary cereals or those quick breakfast pastries.
Yeah.
Total belly fat trap.
Oh yeah, I used to be like all about those, you know?
So instead, think, protein, fiber.
Okay.
Things that will keep you full, keep you energized. So like Greek yogurt with berries, maybe a little sprinkle of nuts, or how about scrambled eggs with some veggies?
Yeah, those sound really good. And filling, what about snacks? Snacks are tough. That's where I usually like fall off the wagon.
Yeah, snacks are so important though.
Yeah.
If you're reaching for chips or a candy bar every time you get hungry, you're setting yourself up for those blood sugar spikes.
Yeah.
And the energy crashes we talked about.
Yeah. Okay, so what are some good like belly fat friendly snacks that will actually like tide me over until my next meal.
Well, again, think protein, think fiber. So like, handful of almonds with a piece of fruit, maybe some veggie sticks with hummus, even like a hard-boiled egg.
Yeah, that's way better than bag of chips that I usually go for. Yeah. Okay, let's talk exercise. We talked about how both cardio and strength training are important, but if someone's like just starting out, like where should they begin?
Start small.
Okay.
Build from there. Don't feel like you have to go to the gym and like work out for an hour every day. Even just like a brisk 20-minute walk a few times a week can make a difference.
Yeah. And the key is finding something that you actually like doing.
Oh, totally. If you hate running, don't run.
Yeah.
Try something else. Try dancing, swimming, hiking, biking, anything that gets you moving and that you actually enjoy.
I love that. Movement should be fun.
It should.
Not like a punishment. Okay, how about strength training? Any tips for beginners?
Bodyweight exercises are always a good place to start. You've got squats, lunges, push-ups, planks. All of those are really effective.
Yeah.
And you can do them anywhere.
You don't need a gym membership.
Nope.
Awesome.
And then as you get stronger, you can like add weights or resistance bands.
Exactly. And, aim for 2 or 3 strength training sessions a week, focusing on different muscle groups.
Okay, great advice. But what about when you hit a plateau? Like, I feel like that could be so frustrating. You're like, I'm doing all the things, but the scale's not moving.
First of all, plateaus are normal. Don't get discouraged. It happens. Our bodies are really good at adapting. So sometimes you just need to kind of switch things up.
Okay, so how do we do that? How do we like shake things up?
Maybe you change up your workout routine, or you increase the intensity, the duration of your workouts. You could even just make a small adjustment to your calorie intake.
So it's about like listening to your body and making changes as you need to. Exactly. And just remember, progress, it's not always going to be a straight line.
Yeah.
There are going to be ups and downs, but as long as you're consistent, you're making healthy choices, you're going in the right direction.
It's a journey, not a sprint. And I think it's important to remember too that this is about so much more than just like the number on the scale. It's about feeling good, having energy, living a longer, healthier life.
Totally. It's about feeling good in your own skin, having energy to do all the things you want to do, and living a long, healthy life. So, I think to wrap things up, I'd love to hear about some people who have had success with this, like people who have actually tackled belly fat and made a change. Do you have any inspiring stories that come to mind?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I've worked with so many amazing people who have just achieved incredible things. There's Sarah. She struggled with belly fat for years. She felt self-conscious. She had low energy.
But once she started incorporating these principles, prioritizing whole foods, managing her stress through meditation, finding movement that she enjoyed.
Yeah.
She not only lost the belly fat, but her whole outlook on life changed.
Wow.
She just radiates confidence now.
That's awesome. It's amazing how these changes can impact not just our physical health, but our mental and emotional health as well.
Right. And then there's John, who was pre-diabetic and had, significant belly fat. And he made the decision to really turn things around. He started cooking more at home. He incorporated strength training. He started prioritizing sleep. And, not only did he lose a ton of belly fat, he actually reversed his pre-diabetes.
Wow. Those are such powerful stories. It shows that it's possible. It's not easy, but it can be done.
Totally. And these are just 2 examples, right?
Yeah.
There are so many people out there who have totally transformed their lives by, just making sustainable changes. And you can too.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the one message that you want to leave our listeners with?
Believe in yourself. You have the power to make these changes. You are capable of achieving your goals. Don't let belly fat or anything else stand in your way. Embrace this journey. Be positive, surround yourself with support, and celebrate every step of the way.
That's great advice. This isn't about being perfect. It's about making progress. It's about, making choices that support your health and well-being. And, you don't have to do it alone. There are resources, there are communities, there are experts like yourself who are out there ready to help.
And you're worth it. Invest in yourself, invest in your health, and you'll see those changes.
Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive into the hidden reasons you can't lose belly fat. We hope you've learned a lot and that you have some actual tools that you can use. Knowledge is power, and now you have the power to create a healthier, happier you.